All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the end of the world with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu. And today, after a 111 episode intermission, we are finally returning to one of our favorite shows. That's right, it's The Leftovers Season 2. Now,
you've thrown around the word masterpiece a lot with a lot of junk that we've looked at, and yet you left it out here. I do think we consider this season of television and the show at large a masterpiece, right?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think primarily I call things that are bad masterpieces. It's a sort of ironical gesture.
Like the masterpiece Looper, for example.
Looper was a masterpiece for sure, 100%.
I'm down for revisiting that in like 140 episodes from now or whatever is the appropriate length of time.
For Looper round 2?
I feel like we have to go back to it, right?
Because of the theme of the loop?
That's right. It is amazing that it took this long. I guess is it 2 years then? It's more than 2 years.
Yeah, it's more than 2 years. You can go back. I'll put a link in the show notes to our original Leftovers episode.
Don't do that.
No, I think it's instructive. It shows how much more naturalistic and thrilling our banter has become, how much better.
Yeah, I feel like things really opened up when the hypotheticals started flowing, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, that was definitely the thing that made that has made all the difference, as Robert Frost
Can I
would
just say that I haven't really factored in the time of this podcast until you just said that about the intermission between Leftovers season 1 and season 2. I thought we were like under a year still. Somehow.
That's bizarre.
Especially considering we had a 100th episode Bonanza Spectacular or whatever it was.
Which would
called,
indicate
right?
we were around 2 years, right? If we do it once a week.
How many weeks is 2 years?
It's 104.
104.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we're coming on 3 years soon.
No, not until February of next year.
It'll feel like a blink of an eye. That's how beautiful it is to be with you every week. You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel the same way, Michael. No, I mean, it is actually fun, and it's not a lot of,
and it's about to get more fun because I did some hypotheticals.
So
going to.
I haven't heard these. I'm coming in. Whenever we do these hypotheticals, I don't want you to think that I've been like briefed in advance about them.
I don't think you give off that vibe when you answer them, to be fair to the listeners.
Yeah.
You're usually so disgusted by what is being
It's not disgust. I would describe it more as horror. Slightly different emotion.
I think this is the only real chance of the podcast where I consistently get to show my intellect.
I think you're not giving yourself enough credit. I think you often have very sharp political and historical analyses to offer, Michael. Plus you have great
only more impressive the hypotheticals that are about to follow here, which are Leftovers season 1 and season 2. They're all about the departure. And then season 3 next week, I will come in with one. I'll go with one season 3 hypothetical to close things out.
All right. So just a brief, before you do your hypothetical, The Leftovers is about October 14th, 2011, when inexplicably 2% of the world's population vanished. And the show explores the impact of that event on a variety of characters. Season 1 is mostly set in upstate New York, Westchester, not even upstate. And season 2, the primary action moves to Texas. And that's what we're going to be covering today. But before we do that, Michael will present us with these hypotheticals. So please, hit me.
Okay, we'll keep them quick because I promised 1, but now I see there are 3. So we'll go. But they're all part of one. They're all part of a piece. Okay, number 1. If you had the ability to explain October 14th to the world, the departure of 140 million people, and your explanation was, quote unquote, proven to be correct in the eyes of the entire world, but you alone knew it was a lie, though it gave comfort in explaining to people what happened to their loved ones, would you tell it, knowing you had misled everyone in the world?
Of course.
You would do that?
Of course. If it's going to help.
That wouldn't rack you with any guilt.
If it's going to help all these people? No, it's what Plato calls a noble.
It's going to mislead them.
It's a noble lie.
It's a noble lie. Slam dunk. Okay,
That's what
great.
that's
Number
what Plato calls it. Yeah.
Number two.
Okay.
140 million people departed on October 14th.
Sure.
If there was no explanation why and their fate was unknown, would you be willing to depart to whatever awaited or nothing at all if all 140 million people would get to come back to their families?
Yes, obviously.
Nobody would know that you were the savior.
That's fine. I don't care.
Instead, they would be told that it was AI that did it, perhaps fundamentally changing everyone's view of AI, setting off a disaster spiral.
I mean, wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You got me. So until the last...
The AI thing makes it really, really tricky for me.
Sure. I mean, I still think I'd do it just because the negative consequences, at least if we're to go on what we see in the show of this event, are so hellacious. Mm-hmm. Could AI's death spiral actually be worse?
Right. And this actually brings me to number 3.
Good.
Okay. Because you are thinking you are doing a noble thing. The first one does make sense to me. The noble lie, I'll go with. You think you're doing the right thing by departing, putting yourself to the sword so that all these people can come back. But have you considered if it was a good departure for those 140 million people who would now be back on a planet that until you had chosen to disappear had also become an incredibly depressing place. So now, by acting the way you have, you are taking the chance that whatever the departed were dealing with was bad. Because if it was good, they'd actually be really upset and you would have totally destroyed the afterlife experience of those 140 million people. Now, if it was a good departure, would you leave them alone?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
okay.
You haven't seen...
So who are you to decide for them?
You haven't seen season 3 yet, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything more.
Okay, so this leads into next week, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so next week we are going to just knock out season 3. We figured this is our favorite show, basically. Certainly our favorite end of the world related show.
Yes.
By a mile. And why wait another...
But this is just the last thing I want to say on the departure thing.
Sure, please.
Is that I actually don't think you can make that choice because you owe it to the people who have departed as much as you owe it to the people who...
Well, you're kind of weighing two unequal groups of people there, right? There's 140 million departed, but there's
140 million people from going to heaven
versus 7 billion living in an impossible hell that might be made better by their return.
I mean, they're not in an impossible. They just are really sad. They don't know what's going on.
Well, there's cults everywhere. There's cults. There's insanity. There's smoking. Smoking is on the rise.
I would say that you have really good intentions, and I think you may really be messing with 140 million people's experience of heaven. That's what would concern me.
All right, but how about this, though? Would I be able to tell other people I'd received this offer after I'd made my choice?
No.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
That's why I said that, because then we can go back into this thing where you get makes sense.
No, but like, can you imagine going up to your friend whose family disappeared and being like, by the way, could have brought them back, but you know what I thought? What if they're having a really good time over there?
Well, but think about family devastated. They've lost their loved one. Loved one comes back. It's like, what the hell am I doing here back with you idiots? I was in heaven. And then they find you. Huh? How's that going to go?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess the world may never know. Hopefully no devil is going to appear and offer me this sinister bargain.
Sure.
All right,
let's get into the show.
Yeah, so this is a great show. I thought an overview of the main characters would be helpful just before we get into the actual events that happen. So from the first season, we've got the Garvey family, who the main character is Kevin Garvey, played by Justin Theroux. He was the police chief in Mapleton, New York. His wife, after the sudden departure, Lori, who was a successful and very rich therapist, joined this cult, the Guilty Remnant, in which you smoke cigarettes, wear white, and never speak. And you just kind of stand around reminding everyone of the, departure and just kind of standing as a
Yeah. Like people need a reminder for the fact that 140 million people disappeared random.
Sure. The other main character is Nora Durst, who is, by the end of season 2, dating Kevin very seriously. She had 3 family members.
By the end of season 1.
Sorry, my mistake. 1. By the end of season 1. She had 3 family members. Her husband and her 2 children suddenly depart on October 14th, and has responded to this with radical skepticism. She doesn't believe that other people who are claiming... She joins the federal agency that investigates claims of departures and like hunts down people who fake their departure for insurance and other stuff. And she also is extremely traumatized, pays sex workers to shoot her wearing a bulletproof vest as a way of feeling something. She visits Holy Wayne, this sort of fraudulent preacher figure from the first season. We also have Matt Jameson, who's Nora's brother and is a minister. He has a wife who became comatose after getting hit in a car accident when a driver vanished on the day of the departure. And her name is Mary, and her eyes are open, she's awake, but she's in a wheelchair, she can't speak, she can't communicate. Then there's Jill Garvey, who is the daughter of Lori and Kevin. Then there's Tom Garvey, who's Lori's biological son that Kevin raised. And then there's Kevin's dad, Kevin Sr., who around the time of the departure had a schizophrenic break and was hearing voices. So these are the main characters from the first season that continue on. A couple other peripheral figures who turn up. There's Patty Levin, who is the leader of the cult, the Guilty Remnant. She killed herself after Kevin kidnapped her while sleepwalking in the first season. And she reappears as a kind of ghost / hallucination in the second season. And then there's Meg, played by Liv Tyler, who we saw in the first season kind of get brought into the Guilty Remnant. Meg is interesting. Yeah,
sort of an expertly peripheral figure throughout the first 2 seasons, but really, really packs a punch.
Yeah, she's great. Her story is interesting because her mom died on October 13th of a heart attack. And the next day, a big disaster struck. I think we mentioned this the first time, that it's a sort of Aaliyah situation. Someone who dies in like a terrible accident, and then 9/11 happens, and their death is kind of swallowed up in the aftermath of a bigger event. That leaves the family members of someone like that, I think, feeling particularly lost. I was looking on Reddit a little bit, and some people commented that when they had family members who died of like non-COVID illnesses in 2020, they kind of felt something similar. You know, it's kind of like, everyone's dying of this plague. Not Dad, he's dying of cancer. You know, it's like, this is, you know, you feel like you're on the outside of something. Mm-hmm. Not that it would be like better to have someone die of cancer, obviously, but you know, or of COVID, but psychologically, it's quite interesting. Mm-hmm. So this season sees our main characters, most of the main characters, move to a town called Jordan in Texas, which is the only town over 5,000 people in the United States that had 0 departures on the day of October 14th, the day of the sudden departure. And for this reason, it's become a locus of a lot of different beliefs. A state park has been created around the town to kind of help mitigate.
It's a tourist attraction.
Right. But I mean, there's so many people that want to come there. The state park becomes a kind of buffer that can kind of filter people from just flooding it and completely taking it over. The park is called Miracle because it's seen as a miracle that no one departed from this one small town. Our primary window into Miracle is African-American family, the Murphys. We've got John Murphy, who's a kind of radical skeptic. He was actually away in prison when the departure happened. And,
for attempted murder.
Which we'll get into in a bit. When he returns, he sees all this miracle stuff, and he just instinctively is kind of repulsed by it. He's a sort of stew figure, if you will. He's quite skeptical about all this hokum and mumbo jumbo. Although, unlike Stu, he's also extremely violent. He kind of prosecutes extrajudicially these various con artists that
he does seem to be pretty loosely above the law for reasons that aren't quite explained.
Well, I think everyone in town is kind of afraid of him. He's like one of these small town bullies you hear about, where there's like
but he does some pretty extreme things with very little consequence.
Yeah, and also is just seemingly in charge of like everyone in town is so afraid of him that everyone just does what he says. His wife is Erica Murphy, played by Regina King, who's fantastic in everything she does, but in this especially. She is hearing impaired, and she's a doctor. She runs a health clinic treating the various injuries and sicknesses of the people of the town. And I think she's kind of skeptical too, but she's more quietly skeptical. She doesn't beat people up, you know, she kind of keeps to herself. She attends church. John is very reluctant to go to church. And they have twins.
Yeah, she's quite mysterious. She keeps a lot to herself.
Yeah, but very powerful. We see later in the season, there's a couple scenes that are just real barn burners featuring her. They have twins, and they're twins that were born months apart, which is something that doesn't happen very often. Like one of the twins was born prematurely, and they're fraternal twins.
Evie, right?
Evie is their daughter, the older of the two twins, we see her a lot in the first episode. She's a sort of late teenager. She's like 17, maybe 18. Mm-hmm. And she has
epilepsy.
She has epilepsy. She also has a lot of sass. She's kind of, one thing we didn't mention is that the Garveys, when they moved to Miracle, they've acquired, because Tom left it on their doorstep, a young African-American child called Lily, who is the offspring of this guy, Holy Wayne, from the first season. We don't need to go into it anymore, but she's black. Her adoptive parents are white. And so we see this scene in the first episode where Evie's like, so is your little sister adopted, or did your mom fuck a black guy or something? Just is like this very like direct question to Jill, and Jill kind of laughs because Jill is kind of like that too. She's also a little like that edgy teen vibe, right?
Yeah, you sort of get the sense that they were going to get along quite well if the events that unfold did not unfold.
That's right. And then Michael is very pious. He's always going to church. He's helping with the services, doing, Bible readings, and he believes very much in Christianity and forgiveness. And we see this because there's another family member in town who's in need of forgiveness, and that's Virgil, who is Erica's father, who for some reason, we don't know at first why, everyone like in the family except for Michael hates and kind of shuns. And he lives out on the edge of town in a little shack that has sort of Christmas lights and is kind of a ramshackle, and he has sort of vaguely psychic vibes, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first time he meets Kevin, Justin Theroux, he's like, I can help you with your situation, right? He seems to know what has happened to Nora when they meet as well about her family.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite clear that there's something. I mean, this is part of what's so funny about the family itself that had gone through the relative traumas of season one and a departure, just picking up and going to this place, and like right away it being clear that this is not going to go smoothly for anybody involved.
It's like, oh, right, we've moved somewhere that's like much crazier than even our completely crazed, cult-ridden
That's one of the really
Westchester
interesting elements to this season is that they do seem to harbor this hope for a while, even though right from the beginning, it's so bizarre. And you'd think they would be like super on edge about going to a place where there are no departures and what that means and how confusing that probably is. But instead, Nora's just like buying a house for $3 million right away, just to be like, yep, this is where we live now.
Yeah, I think part of that is, so I think this is set in 2012, but was filmed in 2015 or 16.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, like, in terms of the ubiquity of the internet, right? We don't see a lot. I mean, people have phones, but primarily phones in this show exist to fall into puddles of water
Toilets.
that render them unusable, which is quite inconvenient at certain moments, right? But in other words, I think if this happened today, we'd all immediately have access to like a million streams of people being like, hey, here I am in the miracle town. Like, this is the crazy guy that lives down the block. This is the crazy, right? Whereas at that point, you still kind of had to see it to believe it or see it to experience it, which I think is interesting. I think you're right. Perhaps if they had done a bit more research, if they had done their own research, they maybe would have. I think when you were watching, you texted me, why don't they just move to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan?
It's like they've been through so much. It's like, do you need more people and more strangers?
And more just total madness of people around the sudden departure. It's like,
well, that's the other thing. It's really interesting about the beginning of this season is that if you watch season 1, it kind of like is pretty like clear that you are dealing with a reality, and then sort of Kevin's break of it is kind of dictating the confusion. But here it just feels like everybody is just on a trip. The distinction between the real and whatever else is going on, and whether that is real, whatever spirit world, and then of course the like internal struggles of the individual people. This is what's so brilliant about the show, and it starts with episode 1. It's just, it is all laid bare for the entire time. It's so crazy the level of intensity this season of television maintains.
Yeah, and I would say it's, even though it's pretty dark, it's much brighter feeling than season 1. There's just something so drab about that Westchester setting in season 1, and like the guilty remnant in their white smoking their cigs, and like everything just feels so like bleached, like grayed out almost in season 1. Whereas this season feels a lot more vibrant, even though horrible stuff happens, at a similar rate.
When you first watched this, was it when the show came out?
No, because I watched the first season as it aired and found it too unbearable to deal with.
See, this is an interesting thing because I think, I think you could obviously feel that way even watching it once a week. But rewatching the second season here, it's just kind of like, how do you like binge watch this show? It just hammers you over the head. It's like the darkest, saddest thing. Everything that could go wrong for these people is just going wrong for like 70 minutes at a time.
Yeah. I felt that way about the first half of the second season, up through the Matt episode that really focuses in on Matt's plight.
That's crazy.
Matt is, and it's similar to the episode in the first season where Matt plays roulette and keeps winning, right? Like, and then is just brutally robbed in the parking lot of the winnings he could use to save his church or whatever. I felt like the second half had a real momentum, and I almost like regretted that I have to like go to bed and like pick up the next day. And then I
found the whole thing incredibly dark and disturbing. I really struggled to watch the elements of the show when it really dove in late to Kevin's breakdown. Like, in a good way. It's amazing, but I would love to have had more than this week to go through. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
well, good news for season 3. It's only 8 episodes. So
Sure.
It's much more doable. I mean, it is also the finale, I have to say, is maybe my favorite finale of all time.
I mean, it's, again, right before we get into the season itself, it's watching it again. I don't really understand how this show isn't in the sort of pantheon with the other major prestige shows of that like 10 to 15 year span. I mean, it's just. Is it because it's only 3 seasons? Is it?
I think it's too intelligent. It's too smart.
You think that's? I mean, but like Mad Men and Sopranos are playing smart.
I mean, I think The Sopranos is a very smart show. I think Mad Men is too, but like Breaking.
This one's just too complicated. Like too.
I mean, like Breaking Bad
psychological
is a good show,
style?
but Breaking Bad is like is stupid, right? Like,
sure.
I mean, it's a great show.
It is great, though.
I love it, but like when you watch it again, you're like, oh wait. He was always evil. You just like immediately you're like, oh wait, there's no like he turns bad. Like he is bad immediately. He is doing evil stuff in episode 2. You know, you're just like, oh wait. But as far as this goes, it's very deep. It's philosophical. It's wrestling with ideas that are uncomfortable. It is very funny in its way too, I would say.
I think about this often when watching the show about how like different line reads almost this could be a comedy. It's wild.
Yeah. I think part of the reason, one of the things I noticed just to finish up this thought, looking online, is that Damon Lindelof created the show, right? He also created Lost. So people are kind of fixated on comparing this show to Lost as a so-called mystery box show. Like, what happened? Are they ever going to tie it together? Right? And I'm like, you idiots, you absolute buffoons. Like, what happened is not important. Like the specifics of like what caused, if you knew that wouldn't be satisfying. What's important is the way people react to this inexplicable event.
Right.
Because that's a metaphor.
Which is all built on not knowing. I mean,
right. And that's a metaphor for being alive, because we all don't know what happens when we die. We all don't know all this stuff about the reality around us. And people act, this is again going back to what I talked about last week with conspiracism. Like, you act like if you know who did the conspiracy, that's going to change anything. And it's like, yes, I think people should be held to account if we can for evil deeds they do, of course. But don't tell me that like, oh, well, once the JFK thing is unraveled, that will change everything. It's like, motherfucker, no, it will not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A chain of events the world has never seen, and no doubt right around the corner. Speaking of, last thing I want to say, we should do Lost, but that's
I've been thinking about that too. We could also do Watchmen, the TV show, which is very apocalyptic. Anyway, I don't think it's quite as good as Leftovers, but it is a good show. Again, only 1 season. So the show opens with a flashback to prehistoric times. We see the setting that we'll be in, what will one day become Jarden, Texas. There's a bunch of people sleeping in a cave. A pregnant woman gets up to use the bathroom, wanders out of the cave, an earthquake strikes, the rest of her tribe walled in. Uh-oh, what's she gonna do? She has the baby on her own. She's like wandering around. She's climbing up to steal some eggs from a nest, and a rattlesnake gets on the baby. Oh no, what is she to do? She gets down, she kills it, but before she's able to finish it off, it bites her fatally. We see her dying slowly on the rocks above the pool that will one day be in Jarden, a sort of central location for the season. And as she dies, another woman from a different tribe comes up and takes the baby away from her and moves on. And this obviously has resonances with a number of themes. One, there's earthquakes, right? This inexplicable event. It's also a metaphor for the sudden departure, right? It's like, what if your whole tribe just...
And just a preposterously great opening salvo for this season of television.
Yeah, it's great.
Have watched this story in upstate New York, and then you're just watching like a cave woman have a child. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. And there's just this... the other theme is, of course, Nora's relationship with Lily, right? The idea of adoption and like picking up and moving forward and sort of taking the place. But yeah, I like the sudden departure angle. That's pretty good. That just occurred to me now. Anyway, Then we jump forward. We see the same location. Bunch of kids are swimming in the pond right near where the woman died in ancient times. There's a weird British guy gathering water from the spring that he's going to sell or do tests on. There's a lot of pseudoscience in this season. Various scientists are like trying to explain the sudden departure, or are like running lab tests on the water, and maybe the water caused people not to depart. Some of it's really fun. This is where we first see Evie, and we get a first glimpse of Jordan a second later. It's a zoo with freaks just circulating, tourist buses. There's a stylite. A stylite is a pillar saint. We've talked about stylites before. I feel like they keep coming up, right?
And the guy on the pillar, right? We see him ask Michael, John's son, to get a letter to Australia with the name David Burton on it at the very beginning of the season, which I assume comes to bear in season 3. It
comes up again in this season because we learned
it's like mentioned on and off, right?
Well, there's like a TV broadcast. This guy, David Burton, was a famous F1 driver who vanished and then returned from the dead. He was like lost in a cave or something for months.
Yeah.
David Burton is the guy at the end of the season that Kevin meets on the bridge, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he is in season 3. And
sure. I figured that, yeah.
But it's good. It's a good little bit of foreshadowing. Right. Why is the Pillar Saint in touch with this Australian guy? Right. Michael brings food for the guy on the pillar because he sees him as a kind of holy man. People are selling T-shirts. Michael is selling spring water that Evie gathers. Everyone is like, we see some Germans like lay into Michael. Wait, how much do I have to pay? And he's like, whatever you want. It's a donation. They're like, is this some kind of test?
Yeah. And once they realize it's not an actual miracle water, they don't want it anymore. They're just like, oh, goodbye.
Well, I mean, none of what is actual miracle water though?
Well, right. Exactly. It's for whatever reason, they're just disappointed about whatever they thought it might be,
Yeah, totally. We see there's a crack in the road that's been boxed over with a clear, which I was like, how is that safe? Like at least have it be not transparent, right? Anyway.
Right, but they seem to both contain the flow of traffic, but also play into their role as a tourist destination.
Exactly. And we meet John, Evie's father. He is a skeptic, as we discussed. He goes to see Isaac, a local psychic who reads people's fortune from their palm prints. He is extremely aggro to him and very menacing. And his whole thing is there are no miracles in Miracle. So he he resents all the supernatural stuff.
And it's a little bit strange that he's obviously known Isaac for a long time.
Since they grew up.
Isaac does.
Yeah.
But this seems to be a day that he just is going to fuck with Isaac, right?
Yeah. We see the girl singing the Miracle gospel song in the church, which is
but also importantly at Isaac's, he's telling him how he's going to have to do some renovations so that these renters that are coming in can live in the residence.
Yeah, and also
never guess who the renters are supposed to be.
Yeah, and he says, John, something bad's going to happen to you. He has a psychic foreboding about John.
Which then is so well done with John getting increasingly paranoid throughout the episode, right?
Yeah, I mean, just later that day, he comes back with his buddies from the fire department, and they just beat the shit out of Isaac and burn his house down.
That's right.
So they were just vigilantes. Now we see Erica do this thing where she buries a bird, and a couple days later comes up to dig it up, and the bird is miraculously survived and flies away.
That's right.
But we see her repeating this with other birds, and they don't come back to life. They're just R.I.P. bird.
They're dead.
We also see Matt has arrived. He's going to be the guest preacher at the local church where Michael attends, and he's there with his wife. She's still in a coma. She's in her wheelchair. And he starts, when he's introducing himself, to mention a miracle that happened, but the pastor kind of cuts him off. And John afterwards is like, wait, what were you about to say? Almost like he's found his new target.
He's ready to kill this guy if he claims like a miracle happened.
He's ready to like beat the shit out of him immediately, which is great. So the next, they have they move in, the Garveys move in. We don't know why. We learn in the next episode what happened to the house next door to the Murphys. The Murphys invite them over for a
birthday party.
And
it's John's birthday.
They expect it to be like a neighborhood barbecue, but then they're the only ones there. And
then John's just like, I don't have any friends.
Yeah. It's like it's so funny. And John doesn't drink. He reveals
it's one of the greatest scenes in the show. It's when so he reveals that he went to prison, and then there's this great moment where
they're laughing.
He's like, go ahead and ask. They're not like, his wife's like, they
don't believe
serious.
You. Yeah,
they don't believe you. He's like, go ahead and ask. And Nora's like, that's none of our business. And right away, Kevin's like, what'd you do?
And he attempted to murder someone. We'll find out who shortly. And they have a good time. Evie has an epileptic fit. And then, as they're leaving, John says, I'm looking forward to getting to know you better, Kevin. And Kevin says, yeah, me too. As in, like, he's going to learn him, get to know himself better. Very apt. And then the girls disappear. Evie goes out with her friends. Their car is discovered by the banks of the lake we saw earlier. The lake has lost all its water, some kind of earthquake. And there are fish flapping around on the ground. And suddenly Kevin is in the lake with a cinder block tied around his leg. He has no idea how he got there. He climbs up and finds the girl's empty car. He hears someone coming, goes and hides wisely. And we learn that the girls have maybe departed. And thus the miracle of miracle is maybe over.
I mean, you can't undersell this enough. It is one of the greatest starts to a season of television that I've ever seen. It's like the way that they just go, they don't even introduce anybody. They don't explain anything. And the characters who might serve to explain, the Garveys, just aren't even in the show for like a long section of the pilot, right?
Yeah.
And you're just kind of, this is like, I think, a deliberate and very effective way of creating a feeling of disorientation for the entire process of viewing this season. Right?
Well, it's also interesting because the girl's disappearance is the motivating incident of the whole show, but we don't really come back to that until the end of the season.
Right. In fact, there's like enough space. One of the things that they do that's a little convenient, but to be able to tell the rest of the story, is that the parents who lose their kid they really seem to be underselling what's going on. Like she's just going to work. He's just on his vigilante kick. Like he is looking a bit for vengeance. And
I think they're both quietly going insane, but they're not doing it in the public way that a lot of the other people performatively enact in the town. Right. There's the woman who always wears the wedding dress she tried on the day of the departure. There's the guy on the pillar. There's the guy who slaughters goats, right? There's all these various other characters who enact in this extreme performative way their response to the trauma of the original disappearance. The Murphys don't do any of that. You're right. They just go about their business. They post flyers, they have a search, whatever, but they're not, that's a good point. All right. So we backtrack in the second episode. We see Nora finding the baby on the porch, and Nora reveals, "I hire prostitutes to shoot me while I'm wearing a bulletproof vest." Kevin's like,
this is also one of the great scenes, right? But she says that after he finally reveals this whole thing that he's sleepwalking,
and that he kidnapped Patty, and that he
kidnapped Patty. He didn't kill her, but she killed herself, and he got Matt, and they buried her. This incredible story, and then she just goes, I hire prostitutes to shoot me.
Yeah. And then she turns to Jill and she's like, I'm sorry I lied about having a gun. I will never lie to you again. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's again very effective in terms of just like quickly having this new family form a very extreme enduring bond that of course will then be tested by various withholdings that aren't anticipated by each other. But also this episode does this great job because it starts to put ideas in your head about what might like possible explanations for what's going on, right? Like the MIT group.
Right. They come to buy Nora's house because they want to investigate her house because 3 people disappeared sitting at the dinner table. Nora in the kitchen didn't. Maybe there's something they can learn by examining it in great detail. They offer almost $3 million for the house. Much more than what
describe it as a matter of geography.
Yeah. Right? So that's one theory is like where you were is what determined whether you departed or not.
Right. And then this, is a stone's throw away from like where we eventually get with Nora, which is the fear that she is actually somehow responsible for both the departures and the that she actually can bring some amount of chaos as well in the world after the departure. Whether it's like, so wait, Nora moved into this house
and then the
neighbor disappeared? Huh, interesting. So that like, again, it's like, I think it really builds out Nora's character in a pretty fantastic way.
Yeah. We see them getting stressed out about the baby. Kevin leaves the baby or doesn't hear it crying. He's kind of getting unhinged. The whole Guilty Remnant compound area burned down at the end of the first season. Kevin, you think that the Patty Levin murder is going to be like an albatross around his neck, and it will be, but not because it's going to be discovered, because he goes and digs her up and then deliberately gets pulled over, and the police are like, oh, she was in the Guilty Remnant? Who cares? You want to blow up your life? We don't care. She killed herself? Great. One less of them to deal with, which is, I think, kind of good because you're sort of like, oh, like, okay, so that isn't going to be No,
I think it's really well done. And
it's not going to be like Fox Mulder shows up and is like, excuse me, Mr. Garvey, where were you the night that Patty Levin disappeared?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that the show does so expertly because it's like, it really picks and chooses its battles and its story to tell this really wild, sort of higher level story of sort of the space between the real world and the spirit world and these psychotic breaks. It's like, we can't just go around worrying about whether he's going to get found out about Patty Levin.
It doesn't matter.
It's just not worth it. There are bigger issues afoot,
So we see Kevin Sr., his dad is out of the mental hospital. He tells Kevin, they say I'm better. And what it did is I just started doing what the voices told me to do, and now everyone accepts that I'm sane. Yeah. He's moving to Australia, based presumably on what the voices have told him, and he claims he's gonna start the world up again after the world ended, which is good. They move in. We see when they get there, they had to quarantine the dog. The house has been burned down that they had rented. And so Nora just spontaneously goes to an auction, spends $3 million to buy this house that's for sale. And
again, this is a great moment about what I was saying about the weird hope that is infused in them, despite the chaos. Like you would think in a world where you're so obsessed by omen and fate and uncertainty and signs that like if your rental place burned down before you could even get in and you were no longer even allowed to go where you wanted, would your first idea be like, let's definitely live here permanently? Let's spend.
Yeah. And Kevin is kind of like,
they make a point to say she gets $2.7 million for her house, which is like so much more than it's worth. But then she spends $3 million.
Yeah. I mean, she presumably has more money from the departure of her family.
It's so funny is to just be like, fuck it, I'll go all in on this place.
It's crazy. One thing I noticed about this season is the show is preoccupied with altered states of being. So obviously the ultimate one is the sudden departure where you just physically vanish, right? Mm-hmm. But we also see different characters have different forms of abstention. So Evie has epilepsy. She has these fits where she's like, oh, did I go away when she recovers from her fit, right? And they're like, yeah, you should take your medicine, right? We see Kevin's dad has hallucinations where he's talking to people who are not visible. And this leads to him being institutionalized. And eventually he gets over it. In the first season and in this season, we see Kevin sleepwalks constantly, where he's around and apparently alert in the world. And that is not the case. He's actually in some other state of being. Have you ever known anyone who sleepwalks?
No.
It is very strange. My sister sleepwalks, and when she was a kid, someday she would just show up, and we'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then it was like, "Oh, you're not awake." No, luckily she's not done any Kevin Garvey. Like she hasn't joined up in a crusade to hunt.
From what you can tell,
hunt wild dogs or whatever. All right, and the last one is Mary. Mary has been in this coma, this state where we don't really know what's going on. I don't know entirely what to think about this, but it's one response to severe trauma is to just check out, right?
Well, yeah, and I think it is just like sort of highlighting the experience that everybody is having in like a smaller but, difficult way.
Yeah, and like Kevin is so tightly wound. We see him screaming at Nora over the house and he's just like a ball of nerves. So the fact that this manifests as this bizarre suicidal, apparently sleepwalking behavior is not entirely a shock. Then we see him wake up in the earthquake pit at the end of the episode. Third episode, we go back to Lori to see what she's been up to. I found this episode really stressful. This was the one I was just like... Is
episode 2 where the handcuffs come in?
No, I think that's later. 3 is when we see Lori and Tom, who are now trying to deprogram Guilty Remnant members. They're staying in an office. There's this scumbag landlord. All of that's just so stressful. Tom goes into Guilty Remnant factions and brings out people he thinks want to get out and introduce them to Lori. They have group therapy. We see Lori like steal her laptop back after they get evicted from this. She like breaks into a house, and then on the way out, she sees some Guilty Remnant people in the street, and she just literally runs them over. And it's never revisited again. No, but that's fine. Again, we already know we know the cops don't care about crimes against the Guilty Remnant. Then I love that both Kevin and Lori listen to the most intense, insane, like Nine Inch Nails style, like music as just like a stress relief. Tom is captured when he's trying to infiltrate into their sect by Meg, the woman whose mother died, and she rapes him. She like ties him up and like forces them to have sex. He gets beat up. She covers him in gas, threatens to like light him on fire, but then is like, tell your mom Meg says hello. Doesn't really tell her what happened.
So like quickly, just to go back to season 1, this is a reversal because
Lori recruited
essentially the mentor of Meg, who was a little uncertain about the Guilty Remnant, and she's going through the initiation process. And now we see Lori has obviously quit the cult, has sort of come to realize the errors of her ways, and wants to save other people in the GR. Whereas Meg apparently, shall we say, has moved up the ladder.
She's the leader now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In the end, they realize they need to come up with a story that's as compelling as what the Guilty Remnant offers. Susan, one of the women who they had been reprogramming, she is driving with her husband. She's left the Guilty Remnant. She's moved back home. She just drives into a semi-truck, kills herself and her husband. They're very upset about this. Lori wrote her book. She goes to a meeting to sell it. And this is a great scene, too, because the callow, hideous way, they're like, yeah, we just need to, like, sex up your, like, Guilty Remnant narrative a little. It's like, I don't think, like, publishing is, like, this bastion of, like, great people or anything. But, like, they're not that stupid, are they? That they'd just be, like, speaking to her this way about this material? Like,
yeah, I think it's hard to say. I think what they're going with is like It was on the sort of spec pile that no one really pays attention to.
Sure, the slush pile.
In like the slush pile, and it's like written by an amateur, and we'll set you up with this editor, and like obviously this type of, again, it's not.
There's a whole
like,
departure industry of books.
Like Heaven is Real, to go back to that book.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Which is that we now have these books like Who's Next, or is one of the famous ones in this world. And they are trashy in a way, but they are more grounded in reality because they're dealing with the departure.
Right.
And so, yeah, who knows how the publishing world would work in this particular regard. But I will say, despite his tone, it actually kind of makes sense to me a little bit of like, why is it that you like don't think that you have to explain like what it actually felt like to go through this process? And it shows that Laurie is like still a mess, has not actually processed this, and is not ready to be like an actual deprogrammer from, the very trauma that she still endures. And I thought that it actually brings that out quite well, because she immediately attacks the other publisher.
She strangles him. Yeah, it's great. And Tom decides at the end he's going to pretend he inherited Holy Wayne's power to take pain away. And this will be the like other option they give people, as opposed to whatever it is the Guilty Remnant's offering. We cut back to the night of the departure of the girls, the alleged departure. We see Nora is really upset that Kevin's gone. She's worried about a sudden departure. She passes out and she starts to panic. And just as she's doing so, Kevin returns.
I should say, I just want to cut in quickly, because I think this is a really important part of Nora's story that you're explaining.
Yeah.
Which is that one of the things that really impacts her in the earlier episode when her house is being sold. And again, this is another great example of the storytelling that went on in the first season too, is that she's wondering why they're doing the research. Why do you care why everyone departed? What's the point?
And they're like, it might happen again.
Yeah. And she's like, no, she's like, you think it'll happen again? And they said, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, watching the first season of this show, it never occurs to me. It, like, the thought never goes through my head about reoccurring, because it's presented so well as this October 14th.
The singular event.
Remember? That's right. And so what you're explaining now, and I'll let you get back to it, is like everything that Nora now experiences is at least partially influenced by this idea that it's not over, that it could happen again, that even the baby that was on her porch that may temporarily have given her hope could just disappear from her arms.
That's right. No, well said. And we realize that Kevin has been hallucinating Patty. She appears next to him as a fully realized person. She's speaking. She reveals to Kevin, John is so crazy at the aftermath of this. They go out to investigate. There's a palm print on the window of the girl's car, which Kevin immediately is like, oh, fuck, that's my palm print. That will come back. He lost his phone the night that he, so Nora's like, well, just go out, get down there. And that way, if someone finds it, you can be like, oh, it fell out of my pocket today.
Right. So you have this very effective turn by having them open up to each other, where they start to help each other, and her in particular sort of helping Kevin as she starts to sense that some weird stuff's going on with Kevin, but she's still very much like, all that matters now is keeping this new family together and move forward and all of that. And so she's like, here's what you do. If you find the phone, just say you dropped it. If someone else finds the phone, say you dropped it. She's got all of these different, and even he, who's like a chief of police, is like, that's a pretty good idea. And it's a very effective way of showing that, like, she has not just become very dependent on him, but that there really is no distinction between her old family and this new family for her anymore. That's how much is at stake, that if she loses this one, it'll be that much more hurtful.
Yeah. And then Kevin does find his phone because the ghost tells him where it is, right? The ghost is like, getting warmer. Oh, you're red hot. John, like, insists Kevin comes with him. gives him this speech about how no one's safe in Miracle. There are no miracles in Miracle. They go to the motel where Isaac is staying. John assumes that because there's a palm print, it's Isaac's palm print, and he's getting revenge for him burning down his house. Isaac shoots John as he tries to break into his motel room with a bat. Luckily,
there's a fantastic misdirect here that I do want to bring up, where it shows like the truly bizarre nature of John and Kevin's relationship.
Yeah,
where he is so mad, he looks like he's going to kill Isaac, who he really has no proof took the girls, and Kevin just goes all in to stop him from doing it. Like he found a friend, he wants to help out. He admits he used to be
right. He's like, I'll go in there. I used to be a cop.
And John, who's, after what happens, you realize is pure psychopath, like really looks like it's affected him. Okay, I understand. And
he's over Kevin's in room like, 235 or whatever.
What room number is it? And he's like, room 12. And then there's a full cut, and Kevin's at the door, and he's knocking, and finally opens the door. And he's like, is Isaac here? And this woman's like, what? And then you just hear this baseball bat smashing a door in. And he's just told him the wrong number, so he has a chance to attack him. So then carry on. Kevin needs to run to Isaac, or to John.
Yeah, it's awesome. Basically, Nora doesn't believe the girl's really vanished. John has Kevin take him to his wife. His wife treats his gunshot wound. Nora goes to her brother, Matt, and is like, is it really safe here? He explains that Mary woke up. He thinks it's a real place. Finally, Patty, the ghost, is like, I really like them, the Murphys. Oh, really? You like the completely insane, dysfunctional maniac? John? Great. Yeah. And apparently the guy on the pillar can see Patty. We have a weird moment where he's like, who's your friend? Talking to Kevin, who's having a conversation. The next episode's the Matt spotlight episode. I
do just want to say again, though, with Nora, like what you see there, right, is that she can't entertain the idea that these girls have disappeared. She can't entertain the idea that it is possible again. And that's why she needs to be in Miracle.
Right. But
that's why she goes to Matt and is like, is this real?
Yeah. And I think what's fascinating is Nora is a skeptic too. Right.
That's right.
Even though she experienced the actual supernatural event more directly than almost anyone.
Yeah. But I think that makes sense. I mean, I think that as someone who themselves is like an agnostic leaning atheist, right?
Yeah.
If you experience something that to the naked eye or the naked mind just appears indisputably
magical,
supernatural,
yeah,
then you probably go looking for your faith despite yourself at that point.
Right. But Nora worked as a debunker. I'm just trying to draw the comparison out with John, who's the other skeptic.
Yeah.
Right. And that John's response to miracles is violence. And Nora's is like, well, we need to like get the questionnaire from the agency to learn what they know about what's right. So we see Matt trying to repeat the circumstances that led to Mary waking up the first night.
Which, by the way, no one has seen whether that really happened or not.
Right. So no one believes him, essentially. Matt is, takes her to an appointment to get a brain scan. The scan reveals she's pregnant. The clinic is really nervous. Matt, of course, drops his phone in the toilet, which who hasn't done that? Then
but the pregnancy thing is great too, because of course it's like he says, she was awake when they had sex.
And they're like, right, whatever. Well, her brain scan doesn't indicate that could happen.
Yeah. So you raped this person.
Yeah.
Right. And it is really interesting. It really highlights sort of the place that the show is putting the viewer, right? Where everything you know about Matt, you would be led to believe that under no circumstance would he have had sex with Mary unless she actually had woken up.
Totally.
Right. But that means she did, unless he's a rapist, which we know he's not from everything we know about the guy in the show. Therefore, did she wake up then? And what the hell does that mean for everything else? Like, it's these types of things that make the show so engrossing to me.
Yeah, because you don't know what to think, right? Matt,
right.
On the way back, Matt is really happy. They tried to get pregnant before. It never happened.
He's like, people are just like, everyone's going to say you're a rapist. And he's just got this huge smile on his face.
Yeah.
Because he's having a kid. He's amazing in this. Did he ever get nominated for an Emmy for like Best Supporting Actor?
I haven't checked, but probably.
He's so good.
Even better than he was as Doctor Who. Anyway.
Yes.
They see a guy who's having car trouble. Of course, Matt, being the priest, stops. And of course, it's Matt. So it's a scam. The guy bashes him over the head with a wrench to steal his wristband because he's really desperate to get into Miracle. And when he's coming to after having his head bashed in, he sees Mary, who's saying, "You have to hurry. We have to get back in. He won't last out here. I'm going to lose the baby, Matt." She appears to be a wig, but again, it's ambiguous. Is she really, or...
Yeah.
Are we, is he hallucinating with all the Patty stuff? You know, again, another.
But even the like elements of the world that are presumably real that are being presented to you are weird. Like we talked about this before the show, before the podcast, of like, there's all of this obsession about maintaining the control in and out of this place. But if you have a wristband on,
you're good.
Don't then have to prove anything about yourself. So like, even though obviously by that logic, people would be stealing wristbands all the time.
Yeah.
If all you had to do was show your wristband, yet it does appear to just work. And so then you're just like, is the place real? Are the people going in and out real? Like, what exactly am I watching here?
Right.
And by the way, I did just check, and in what is now obviously considered a fairly significant snub, The Leftovers had a grand total of 1 Emmy nomination for Outstanding Guest Actress, endowed as Patty Levine in one of the seasons. No one got any nominations, including the writing, nothing.
Wow. Time to...
Feels remarkable to me. Can't wait to look at the list of...
Maybe it's good that AI is going to destroy Hollywood. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Matt's trying to talk his way back in, explaining what happened. As they're going through, they see a bunch of insane people who've encamped outside of the gate. It is a nightmare. There are all sorts of crazy people doing various forms of religious penance, and like it's like a carnival-esque atmosphere. A weird Swedish guy's like, "I can get you in. I'm Elmer," you know, and
it doesn't even like look to try. He doesn't even try to look like he's legitimate. It's like he pegs Matt as just so obviously a sucker.
He's a mark, yeah. Anyway, at first John comes to help, but the paper showing Mary's pregnant falls out of Mary's bag and John reads it. It's a little like, what's going on here? And he's like, "So you're a rapist. You're going to tell everyone there was no miracle. She didn't wake up. You know, you raped her. You were confused. You know, you couldn't help yourself." Or right. He like sort of forces Matt to admit to a crime that Matt did not commit. And as they're walking in, she's like, "What happened to you? Like, why are you like this, John?"
Yeah.
And John's like, "I don't think I can." Kevin is there and he's like, "What the fuck, Matt?" He doesn't say anything, but just the look on his face is just, he's just like, "Shut up. This guy's helping you. Who cares?" So they're forced to be out in this like vagabond area. It's a nightmare. He earns $1,000 or $500 by breaking an oar on this guy's back and screaming Brian as he does it. At first, he doesn't do it viciously enough. I did not even know. It's some kind of fetish, but it's like...
There's also like a weird, like he's told he needs $1,000. He says he has 400 and he'll give the rest. Then he has to do this thing to get money and they ask him how much he wants and he only says 500.
Yeah,
so
I thought that...
900.
I thought that was odd too.
It's all very strange, but it's also... He's a remarkable character because like his faith has been disproven so many times and it never goes away.
Well, he's Job, right? I mean,
yeah, sure.
That's made pretty clear. They later ask him like, "What's your favorite book of the Bible?" And he's like, "Job." It's like, oh, gee, I wonder why. Could it be because nothing but horrors happen to you constantly? Elmer, the guy leads him to this like storm drain, but of course, as soon as they enter, a massive flood starts, right? It's just of course. They can't get through. He's got Mary in a wheelchair. The wheelchair gets washed away. He has to carry her back. The next day, Nora comes and smuggles them through in the trunk because it's the day she's like, yeah, someone called in a report that the girls were seen outside in this place or whatever. She's like, Nora, did you do that? She's like, I don't know, Matt. It was anonymous. It's like, yeah, of course she did it. But but they come across the guy who stole the wristbands dead. His car's flipped over because he ran into the flock of goats. And the kid is hiding in the woods and he's offering Matt the wristband back guiltily. But like Matt's like, no, you should stay. He gets Mary's wristband back. And then he goes back and like puts himself into the stocks because it's got to just keep the Job thing going. He is a great character. I mean, it's like, all right, speeding up a bit. The next one is the lens thing where Nora learns there's this new theory where people think certain people were lenses and they cause the people around them to disappear. She's a prime candidate for this. Scientist shows up, is doing readings on her. She's very worried. She's like, oh my God, like, could this be real? She reads an article from this other Department of Sudden Departures.
And she's like, that was a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, well, she dismisses it defensively, right? Finally, she takes the call from this woman who's like, the readings that our scientists got from you are very promising, you know. We think, well, some of it's a bit controversial. She's like, no, just tell me what's controversial about it. They're like, we believe you have been possessed by the demon Azrael. She just starts laughing and hangs up because these scientists are as crazy as like all the people in the town, right?
Well, that's right. I mean, all these sort of like barriers or at least separations that have existed for so long are dissipating, right? Sort of under the weight of the initial October 14th and everything that has followed since. That's
right. Like the traditional boundaries between disciplines, we're going back to the Middle Ages, essentially. Like nothing is true. Nothing is sacred. We see Erica finds one theme is pies keep getting left on their doorstep. She chases down the kid without her. She's hearing impaired. She doesn't have her hearing aids in. She chases him down and she's like, where's the pie? And it's her father, Virgil, is sending the pies over. We don't know what's going on with him, but we'll learn soon. They're having a memorial service. The guy who sacrifices goats comes in to sacrifice one. And Erica's just like, not fucking here. She calls out everyone in the town for doing the same stupid shit they were doing on the 14th in this like mindless repetition. And that the girl's departure allegedly proves that whatever they're doing, it's not working, right? I mean, one of the big themes is that, like people didn't depart on the day of the 14th, but people have died since. People died before, you know. It's like it's this weird veneration of this one day that nothing happened. It's this kind of
and this one type of way to leave the planet and leave your body.
Right. It's good. So she's a different kind of skeptic. She's more quiet skeptic, but the way she calls everyone out, you're kind of like, damn. She talks about
that great scene with Nora and
Erica,
where
that's the one of the powerhouse.
They're both just such good actresses.
Yeah, it's just insane. It's insane. Erica,
and they really do like you can see that people making the show are just like this scene is like 8 minutes long.
Yeah,
like it is such a long scene. They're just like, let's just let them go.
Yeah,
and it is remarkably compelling television.
Yeah, the Nora has stolen the new questionnaire from the DSD guy, and she reads the questions. They're very generic, and then in the middle of it, Erica explains this old folk thing about miracle being blessed, and that one way you can tell is you bury the bird and you make a wish just before And she's going to leave John prior to Evie departing. And we see earlier she has a bag filled with money up in her like closet, and it's like clearly her go bag when she's just going to ditch, right?
Yeah.
And you know, she did this thing and the bird came back to life and it flew out, and she promised that she wished that Evie would be okay without her. She's not worried about Michael because he has his faith. And the next night Evie disappears, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's just, Nora can't handle it. She's like, this is pathetic. Like, it's stupid. And then Nora, like, Erica turns the questions around on her. And it's like, you know, it's really powerful. It's an amazing scene.
I mean, yeah, you see this moment of like how impactful this is on everybody, right? So these two people who are like seemingly in one certain power relationship dealing with one supposed event that is just turned immediately to make you realize that there's just all of this uncertainty, dishonesty, distrust, animosity, like everywhere. And like I said, like it's one of the longest scenes I think I've seen in a television show.
Oh, it's so good
that
though.
One, and when Laurie is talking to Kevin in a later moment, they really do like. This is what's another thing that's so great about the show. It's like I don't know. I almost don't know how it got made. Sometimes it's like they are allowed to take so much time to like have these very long. And they are impactful if you're into the show, but you know, you could see a lot of viewers just kind of like, what? You know, like, and yet they were sort of given the go ahead to just like absolutely go nuts with stuff like this.
No, to go for it. So moving on, Kevin tells Nora that he's been seeing Patty Levin's ghost and that, you know, and she's freaked out. His dad was schizophrenic. This seems like a bad sign. Erica throws a rock through their window, which mirrors Nora through.
Great moment.
Nora threw a rock through her window at the beginning. It's like a weird.
Well, and do you think that anything with Nora and running away from Kevin is this increasing feeling that she is having an effect on people? Do you think she's trying to protect him at all by getting away? Yeah. Okay.
For sure. So, and then the episode goes out on I Am a Rock by Simon and Garfunkel, which will come back in a second. So Kevin wakes up. He's been handcuffing himself because of the sleepwalking, and Nora's gone. He can't find the key because there is a note saying where the key is, but the ghost of Patty is in between, so he can't see it. Michael sees him talking to Patty and is like, you should talk to my grandfather. He can help you. Virgil explains she's not in you. She's on you. You got to go to the other place and get rid of your adversary. The adversary is also what Satan is called in the book of Job. It's like what Satan essentially means is like the accuser or the adversary. He explains that his adversary made him do terrible things and he got shot by John. He lost his penis in the shooting. And maybe that's the real adversary's defeat.
Please
I don't know.
do that to Thoreau. My God.
Yeah.
the perfect body in this season of television as well.
Yeah. He's incredible. So Kevin's like, I don't know about this. Then Lori shows up. She's like, where's Tom? Can I talk to Tom? He's like, Tom's not here. What are you talking about?
There's so much going on.
So much chaos. She senses Kevin's crazy and he's kind of like, what can I do with you? He tries to get his handcuff cut off because he had to bolt cut it. And he goes to the fire station, but they're like, oh yeah, we're doing like a palm print drive, Kevin. You want to give yours? And he's like, okay. Uh-oh. Eventually he, goes back home. He finds, he finds a way to get the cuff off because Nora did leave. That's a little later, but, he goes to see Lori in the motel, the same motel where he earlier helped John beat up Isaac and get, all that. Lori's like, you're having a hallucination. I'm a therapist. Like, I wouldn't normally just break the news to you, but whatever. Like, this is what's happening. It happened to your dad. It's genetic. Like, you're schizophrenic, basically. You need to.
This again, like, this is the stuff I just love so much about this show. Is it like it presents, whatever modernity, secularism, like the like sciences, like back into the equation in this way that is so heartfelt. It's from the ex-wife who's starting to have sympathy for him again, and vice versa. They're finally seeing each other again. Guess what?
She's talking.
This is right up my alley. I've learned so much, but now I can see that you are going crazy. This runs in your family. You can deal with this. There are ways that this can work. Here's your diagnosis, and you've got to get on the medication, and things are going to get better. And like within 10 minutes, he's getting someone to shoot him.
No, give him poison.
Yeah, it's a poison. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he takes her back in.
Funny.
He takes her back in. He can get her wristband because they're still married legally. She has the same last name, and he, gets the note, gets the thing off, runs out to see Virgil just as Jill is coming home. Hasn't seen her mom since the whole fire thing. Is like, I don't want to talk to you. What the fuck? Dad, where's Dad? And Dad is just peeling out. They're like, wait, what the fuck? He's like, wait, I could go to a psychiatrist.
Like the most heartfelt moment of the entire show.
I could go to a psychiatrist and take medication, or I could go to the crazy old man by the river who's offered to poison me and then bring me back to life after I fight.
I love it. It's like, you could tell though, nobody drives that fast to get their schizo medication.
Yeah, 100%. So he talks to Virgil. He's like, you just got to drink this. I'll give you the epinephrine. You need me to guide you. And Virgil is Dante's guide in the afterlife, obviously, in Inferno. A little on the nose, but we'll allow it. So Kevin takes the poison, and dies. And instead of...
And this is what I was confusing. Virgil shoots himself.
Yeah, Virgil squeezes out the epinephrine that's going to wake him up, and then just shoots himself. And Michael appears, having been alerted this is what would happen, drags Kevin out, and then buries him. So episode 8 is the hotel verse, as it's called in the fandom. He wakes up in a hotel. He's an international assassin. He has to kill Patty, who's running for president. Virgil's the concierge of the hotel. He rescues a little girl from a pool. Her dad is this gross freak. He is wearing beetle boots, I noticed, which I thought was a bizarre detail. Those little heel, leather boots.
Yeah.
Mary Jameson is mentioned. She's also in this space. So we're to kind of understand.
What is it, the flowers are for Mary Jameson or something like that?
There's a different... No, I think Mary Jameson's name is mentioned on a speaker. The flowers are for a different person.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we get the idea that this is the in-between space. This is the...
Yeah.
And it's the liminal space. It's the hotel, again. He communicates with his dad through the TV. His dad is in some kind of sweat lodge in Australia with a fire. And
the whole footage has almost like a Hunter Biden video vibe to it.
With Hunter Biden's laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all grainy and
it's a little bit
feels kind of salacious, but it's not,
a little bit of laptop from hell. It's a prophecy of the laptop from hell, as Trump likes to call it. He's going to meet Patty. They make him go through this bizarre security screening where they're spraying Windex in his eyes. This is all very post-Sopranos, the dream sequence stuff. Sopranos really pioneered that in its later seasons. I think it's good, though. It has the logic of the dream. It feels real. He's talking to Patty. He's like, you want to destroy families. She's like, I love that. It's a great new slogan for our campaign, right? She is Patty, but she's also much more at ease with herself. She's confident. Eventually, he shoots everyone. He finds the gun in the toilet, like in The Godfather, right? And then he realizes that the Patty he killed is not the real Patty. She's a body double. And that the real Patty is the little girl he saved earlier. And the guy she's with is Neil, her creep husband, who had anal fixation and loved to have women defecate on him. Good detail. I guess he has to take her to this well, which is in Jarden, and he pushes the little girl in. It's very, he meets this Australian guy who is the Australian guy that will come back in the final season. And he starts to get sick. He jumps in. She reveals that she was on Jeopardy and faced off against Stewart, that fiend. He said no words to her in the green room, which we are led to believe kind of inspires the not speaking guilty remnant thing.
Right.
Which is awesome. She's like, oh, remember that time that guy on Jeopardy didn't talk to me? Oh, yeah.
Let's all do that forever.
Yeah. He drowns her. He feels bad for her, but he drowns her. And, he reemerges from the earth like the buried bird. Michael is shocked to see him come back to life, just as Erica was shocked when the bird came back to life. It's crazy. Basically, the final 2 episodes are great. Meg is the spotlight episode. We finally see her interactions. Meg is a coke fiend. There's like a white lines recurring motif. Which is kind of interesting. The show does a good job of that throughout. There's a lot of cool original music, but there's also this each episode.
Yeah, the score is fantastic, and then the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, it's all brilliantly done. We see Meg touring Miracle after her mom died. She's with her husband. They do an audio tour. They see all the stuff we've seen. It's kind of explained to us. And she visits Isaac. And Isaac's like, yeah, your mom sent back her salad because it had walnuts she didn't want. Which again indicates like, how could he know that? He is psychic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her whatever her mom was about to tell her before she dropped dead. And Meg thinks that's going to be the answer, but Isaac's already explained, like, that's not going to be the answer. Just as, and I think this is meta, right? This is about the show. Like, we're not going to be satisfied if the sudden departure is explained to us, right? Just like the mystery box, like the point is the mystery. Mm-hmm. Just as the theme, Iris Dement, let the mystery be, like, it's kind of knocking us over the head with this, but for good reason. She runs into Evie. She's crying in the street and they have some kind of connection. This is when we realize, oh, now I know what happened to the girls, right? Like the guilty remnant took them. The big bads we thought, the first season, the villains that we thought were gone. No, they're not gone. They're still here. Yeah. They're just operating undercover.
They're back and better than ever, if anything.
Yeah, because they're covert. We understand that Meg is a splinter cell of the guilty remnant. They're higher ups who are like, you're not authorized to do all this crazy shit you're doing. We see her like throwing a fake grenade into a bus full of kids and then like locking the door. It's fucking awesome. She's planning something big. They're like, you'll be in Dobbs Ferry on 10/14, right? We need your chapter to be there. And she's like, you can count on me, She again breaks in on Tom. She's like, Tom, whatever the fuck you're doing, I can do this for real. Her relationship with Tom is so weird, right?
Yeah.
So she assaulted him earlier. He goes to the compound screaming for her. He's like, my dad and Nora are in Jarden. Like, she's like, oh, really? Well, I'm going there tomorrow. Like, so she ends up giving Tom a ride. They like stop at this honky tonk and like make out and dance. And it's like,
well, it's another interesting element of the show where like everything is put into such a state of discomfort and seriousness and like so many dark things that are happening that even characters from across the sort of universe of the show or the story that meet, the relationships feel like they have a depth somehow that doesn't make any sense. That like doesn't feel like their first, like, this is what, their third scene together in the entire show.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's amazing to watch it play out like that.
It reminds me a little bit of magical realism, like where there'll be this like, it reminds me of Through the Arc of the Rainforest, the novel. Maybe it's because I've been grading papers about it all week, but It's but it's similar, where just there are these coincidences that are like very convenient but also kind of convincing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, they have a compound. It's crazy. In Texas. Like, oh, also they're playing the Sturgill Simpson cover of that 80s song The Promise as they dance.
Yes, right.
Which is really good. And she says she fucked him to get him pregnant. I'm assuming Socratically pregnant. That is to say, pregnant with an idea. Pregnant with ideas, right?
Sure.
The compound is crazy. There's just tons of people there. A woman holds up a sign to Tom that's like, Meg is going to change everything, right? It's like, okay, cool. He goes into this Airstream trailer. Meg refers to it as the remnant, which I, of course, approve of, right?
Sure.
The guilty remnant. No. What I call it is the remnant, right? And yeah, Matt sees her at the encampment and he's like, hey, Megan, you left the guilty remnant. Good for you. And he's like, I was being a living reminder for you of your mother's death. He remembers that the 13th is the anniversary of her mother. Something so great about that scene where you're just like, God, I love Matt. You know, he's like, he's like, what are the chances that he's like, isn't it so odd that we're both here? You know, she's like, no, this is the place. People want to be safe. And Tom sneaks into this closed off area and it's Evie and the girls. Right. So, one thing I was really curious about, we learned that the girls basically like joined up with the guilty remnant, staged their disappearances to fuck with Miracle, essentially. Presumably because they hate it. They hate being held up as this like example to the world when fucked up shit like the fact that her mom's dad sexually abused her dad is just like vibrating under the surface constantly in this allegedly miraculous place.
Right. And all of the totally horrific things that do happen here are sort of excused away by the fact that nobody departed.
Right. We sort of touched on this earlier, but it's yeah, I don't really understand what their motives are. I mean, her parents are also both radical skeptics of this in different ways, right? So she's in an environment that's already skeptical, but like, I don't think we're given the biggest picture of like why Evie did what she did, which is...
Yeah, it would almost have made more sense in that regard if she actually disappeared and never came back, right? I mean, in terms of like trying to test her parents' sort of faith, because by showing back up, it's like, oh, well, now we can explain what just happened. You didn't actually depart. You're just being an idiot kid.
Right, but isn't like joining the guilty remnant almost worse than just departing? Because it's like,
yes, but it doesn't actually assault the skepticism of the parents, right? I mean, that's why I like when we get to the end of it, but when she writes, "You understand" to the mom. Her mom.
Yeah. So Kevin comes back to life, climbs out of the earth. He's been dead for 8 hours. It worked. Patty's gone. He killed her. Michael is like, was Evie there? Evie must have been in the afterlife, right? And he's like, nah, she wasn't. Yeah. She wasn't there. John opens the gift finally, and it's a dead cricket. Early in the season, there was a cricket in their house. And John's like, she found the cricket. Oh my God. And then Erica's like, no, she didn't. It was chirping all day when you were out looking for them or whatever. Mm-hmm. Why would she give me the cricket then? Because John, you wouldn't let it go. And John's like, fuck you, Erica. Kevin's print was found. Virgil's dead, right?
John gets his gun.
John gets his gun immediately. That's the other funny thing is he's a debunker. He's a debunker, but he also acts completely irrationally constantly.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Tom is in the camp too. He's like, there's no family, right? that's the point of the guilty remnant. Meg's like, that's not the point at all. Family is everything. It's like, wait, what? They drive the camper onto the bridge. Everyone thinks it's a bomb. The girls get out. It's a distraction. There's a scoreboard counting down that lights up immediately. It's an old ball field they're camped out on. Michael at a church service explains that, he turned on the water in this story to drown out Evie's crying. Turns out Evie was probably abused. Like something was wrong with Evie. And as he's telling this story, suddenly John bursts in and is like, the girls are back. He finds out just after he's taken Kevin to the dog pound where the dog is and shot him. Like after a conversation, he's like, I didn't take her. I saw her. Why are you telling me now? I didn't remember until now. It's complicated. Right. Whatever. And he just shoots him. So Kevin's back in the hotel place. There's this whole story that Patty told before about like she won on Jeopardy and she had enough money to leave her evil husband, but didn't. And then later he eventually left her. Erica is afraid to leave John. There's some kind of parallel there. I don't know exactly what it is. Basically, the people break through. The guilty remnant appear. They flood into the town. There's not enough rangers to stop them. They're all distracted. Evie and the girls are leading the charge. A woman grabs Lily from Nora, who's down there with Matt. Mary wakes up. Nora takes Mary to Matt. Mary's like, of course I remember the night I woke up and we had sex. It's like, whoa, thank God. Matt, exonerated. A woman grabs Lily and then throws her onto the bridge for some reason. Nora has to like jump on her, protect her.
Yeah, weird moment.
Tom appears. It's a CGI baby. It looks really not good.
Yes.
Tom appears. He helps her into the Airstream trailer, which previously housed the girls. Some kind of weird inversion. Kevin's back in the hotel, but this time to get out, all he has to do is sing Homeward Bound at a karaoke bar, which he does.
Which, again, like I said to you, like once you watch this season or if you've seen already, it like the song in moments, it feels like they wrote the season like based on the song Homeward Bound.
Yeah.
Like every day is an endless stream of cigarettes and magazines and like showing clip of him like chain smoking and then the National Geographic from the first season.
Yeah.
It is really wild. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's not, he sings very poorly, but in a way that's so real that it's awesome.
I was wondering that. I was like, wonder if like a theater kid like Thoreau can probably
he
sing
probably could sing really well, right?
But it's like very funny. There's like he's very bad at singing, and it's some of the best acting in the season, I think, because he obviously can keep a tune. It wouldn't make sense to me that he couldn't, but
sure, he
manages to sing like he can't sing, but it's also good, very emotionally moved by his own performance.
It's crazy.
Well, like I mean. They're not shying away from it. It's like he is seeing that he's at the end of some sort of journey.
And it's like close up on his face.
And he can remember that the lyrics actually apply so poignantly to his life that he's like, what the hell was all of this? Was this all leading to me singing this exact song at this moment? It's so well done.
He wakes up. The dog is with him. They leave. He's covered in blood. He should be dead. He's not. They get out into the town, and as soon as the dog sees the chaos, it just bolts, which I thought was like, it like waited around for him to wake up for hours, and then it just runs away once it sees how fucked Miracle actually is. It's like the animals fleeing the sinking ship kind of vibe. He goes to the clinic looking for help, trying to find Erica. She's not there, but John comes also looking for Erica. And they kind of make up. He's like, I killed you. And he's like, nope. I don't understand what's happening, says John, for the first time, like opening himself up to.
Yeah. All it took was him killing someone and that person not dying.
And coming back from the dead.
Yeah.
And Kevin says, me neither. I don't understand what's happening. They go home. He's like, what if no one's at my house? He's like, well, then you can come over and stay at my house. It's like a very sweet moment. Like, this guy just murdered you. And you're like, yeah, come over later. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's another earthquake. And then he goes into
why not?
And he goes into his house to find everyone in his life is there, inexplicably. Jill, Lori, Matt, Mary, Tommy, Nora. Mary's awake. What is Tommy doing there? He hasn't seen him since last season, you know? What the hell? How did you get there?
He hates him, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all forgiven. And then Nora's just like, you're home. And the show ends. And it's fucking wild. Like, sorry to be so exhaustive about this, but like, there's so much.
Right, and so effusive in our praise, but like when you watch it the way we did, which was essentially over a 2-day period.
Well, I watched it over the whole week, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I pushed a little quicker, but like it really is so well crafted over what amounts to like almost 12 hours. It is like one of the tightest like storytelling within like an incredibly complicated and sort of layered story that I've ever seen on television.
So Lindelof clearly learned from Lost that this looking at character is a great way to organize something like this. And I think with flashbacks also, right, you can see the sort of DNA or like the lessons learned from Lost here, but I think applied to a just more artistically, you know, it's not it's not a network show that has 26 episodes a season or whatever, right? It's like,
well, and like, is there a sort of, is there a release of not having like this rabid fan base demanding answers on the heels of your show as every season unfolds? I mean, Lost, as I recall, was a sensation out of the gates, right?
Oh, it was huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, this is kind of like a refuge to like tuck yourself away on HBO.
And to do something that's like really good art, right?
Yeah. I just want to see something before we close it out.
Why not? It's already our longest episode ever by far.
Yeah. Lost. 54 Primetime Emmy nominations for Lost.
Yeah, of course. Hey, you know, I actually
11 wins. Me too. I like the first few seasons of Lost.
I like all of Lost. I'm crazy.
54-1 is, I don't think, an accurate representation of the output, though.
No, but I think reputationally, this show's only going to continue to grow in esteem as people see it. So if you haven't seen it and you've somehow listened to an hour and a half of us talking about it, I would recommend giving it a whirl, particularly season 2. I mean, season 1 is great. It's a little grim. Season 2 is dark, but brighter and interesting. And then next week, we're going to get into season 3. So any closing thoughts, Michael?
No, although it is weird. I've never experienced this before, but it's one of my favorite shows of all time. And I have never seen the last season for reasons that are very strange to me now.
Well, you were saving it.
Well, I wasn't saving it before, but then when we did the first podcast, remember we talked about that maybe we would put it so that I wouldn't watch it until we actually got to the episode. But who would have thought that it would take 2 years for that to happen? So
yeah.
I'm very excited to actually see what happens in what amounts to my favorite television show of all time.
Yeah, so tune back in next week where we will be discussing the final season of The Leftovers. And if you like the show, you can follow us on the podcatcher of your choice. If you really like the show, you can leave us a rating and or a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at the End of the World WMS, where we post exciting reels from each episode. So we're going to wrap this up once and for all. I'm going to leave you with just one word, which is one of my favorite words in the English language. Well, it's 2 words. And that is the device. So get ready for the device, Mike. And until then, this has been The End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and we will talk to you real soon.